Galveston is an island off the coast of Texas. We're set aside from the rest of the world. Well, BOI, I got one of the biggest BOIs around, you know. It means exactly that, born on the island. But you have to understand that we're an island. There is nothing we can do about what's happening with water. The more and more the Arctic melts, the more and more water is going to be in the Gulf of Mexico. It's inevitable. 100 years from now, Galveston Island may not be here.
Galveston, it is wonderful. It's crazy at times, but it's just wonderful. I love being around Galveston. I love Galvestonians. The people in Galveston are wonderful.
Can we get a copy of that?
I was born in Galveston, Texas at John Seeley Hospital in 1948. Growing up here in Galveston was great. I mean, this is an island. Summers were filled with going to the beach and swimming and stuff of that nature, and how much better can it get?
Well, I'm so happy to be a part of an island. Not many people can say that they live on an island in the USA. So I'm just glad to be here.
The main industry here in Galveston is tourism. Tourists come here because there's a beach here. In 1967, you probably had 2.5, maybe 2 blocks of sand before you would get to the Gulf of Mexico. Our beaches now are less than a block from the water. Subsidence has eaten up Galveston Island in that almost 60 years. How do you fight it off?
You hear scientists talk about like global warming is gonna happen and stuff like that, and you don't believe it at first until you actually see something of it. We live on an island. We live on an island. We see it every day. People who live off the island, they only see a portion of it. They don't get to see the full picture, as opposed to living on an island where you get to see it every day.
When you start thinking about sea levels, I think of it this way. You fill a glass to the brim with water, and you take a 1 millimeter pearl and drop it in it. The water spills over, and that's a very small pearl. Galveston's the same way. The more the Arctic melts, the more water we're going to have to fight off.
Hurricane Ike has hit Texas, slamming in with winds of 110 miles per hour. The storm made landfall in Texas after churning through the Gulf of Mexico.
The National Weather Service has a warning for residents wanting to stay. That warning is they could face certain death if they stay put.
Hurricane Ike hit Galveston in 2008. It hit Galveston as a Category 3 hurricane. Hurricane Ike flooded 75% of Galveston Island.
We're on the south side of Broadway, where the elevation is lower. The winds and the rain picked up at around 7:30. We were just sitting on the porch long enough until it was unbearable to sit there. The wind picked up so bad. The door had a blind over it, like these blinds down here, and when I opened it, the wind just took it, it just pulled it off the hinges.
The north side of Broadway was disproportionately hit than the south side. The north side of Broadway, most of the houses got 6, 7, 8 feet of water. The south side of Broadway, some of them got 2 feet. I got 1 foot of water.
I didn't notice the house shaking until the second half of the storm. That's when the door flew open. I had furniture down the hallway. All that stuff, you could just see it going down the hallway, just flying down the hallway. And so I took a slack, like a piece of wood, a bed slack or something, and I put it right up under the knob of the door. And you could just see it was just slowly just blowing open. So I had to put all my weight against it. And I was so tired of standing I stood like this for like 15, 20 minutes, scared. When the storm ended, it was like a parade. It was like one huge big parade just going on, and then the end. You could just see it leaving. The birds start flying again, the sun came out. You know, the water had resided. It had resided from 12, 13 feet. It was ground level then. My partner was still sleeping and I nudged him. I said, hey, the storm's over with, He jumped up and I said, let's go walk around the island. They were enforcing the look and leave because it was unsafe, it was inhabitable. So you had state troopers, police telling people, hey, look, you gotta go. You have to go. FEMA came, and FEMA was going house to house, house to house, house to house. They knew that a lot of people stayed. They knew that a lot of elderly people stayed. So they were just going from house to house to seeing if people were alive, if people were dead. There were people died here.
2 to 3 weeks later, we finally came back to the island, and the neighbors came over. They were like, yeah, your house burned down. Everything that was of value to me and to my parents and to everybody, it was gone. That made me really sad because I had all my photos, my toys, my videos. Everything that I had was inside the house and it burned down to the ground. Being in the 2nd grade, what would you say going through that time? That made me feel sad to know that everything that I had was gone.
My view of climate change, I didn't really have a big view about it. I've heard about it. You would hear about it on the news and stuff. And I go, oh, well, that's not going to be in my time. I'll be dead and gone by the time, stuff start to act up. When Ike hit, it really opened my eyes because it wasn't the wind that destroyed the island. It was the water that destroyed the island. The water that was the highest water we've ever had here. So I was thinking to myself then, that's a part of climate change.
If water begins to just rise, it'll just begin to rise and rise and rise. The whole world is basically on an island on its own. I'm just worried for my generation coming up because we only have God knows how much time left on here. And with everything that's going on, I don't want the earth to be in danger of like water rising up and overtopping and covering us up over the land, and what do we do? So I'm just worried to death about what's going to happen in the near future concerning the whole earth. What's going to happen if something comes towards us? How are we going to survive?
We have a lot to do with the reason the climate is changing. It's not happening by itself. There are things that we're doing to the planet to cause the climate to change. And even in my head now, I'm thinking, I'm hoping I'm dead and gone if anything happens worse than Ike. Climate change is gonna have to take everybody to fix it, you know? And I honestly believe people are talking more about it than doing things about it. It's kind of like they're sitting around waiting if it's really gonna happen. It is gonna happen.
A new study says that catastrophic climate change outcomes, including human extinction, are not being taken seriously enough by scientists.
I mean, this is a crisis. Things are happening faster than we thought.
It may be that the warnings that are being given will at some point hit on ears that understand, who are in a powerful enough position to do something about it. Galveston's a beautiful place to live. I hope I don't live long enough to see it go away. They say that islanders have salt water in our veins. We're beautiful.
During Hurricane Ike, we all came together to just lift each other up.
Ike impacted Galveston in a lot of ways. A lot of people still rebuilding. People that call it home, they're gonna come back.
There's this saying, there's no place like home. There's no place like home.
Galveston, oh Galveston, I still hear your sea winds blowing. I still see her dark eyes glowing. She was 21 when I left Galveston.